So, welcome to the horror of it all. I've got a guest with me today, Bobby Carra,
How you
and
doing?
he is a horror music composer. Is that the proper term, composer?
Yeah, yeah,
And now, Bobby and I first met. Do you know it's in 2 weeks? It'll be a year
yeah.
since we met on the set of Hunt, Chase, Kill, which you did the music for. And I remember you were when we were taking a break, you were showing me some of the stuff you were working on
Oh, yeah, yeah.
at
I
the
remember that.
time. I don't know if it was for the movie, um, but now you've done about 7, 8 movies so far. Is that correct?
Give or take. Yeah, not all of them have come out yet, but give or take.
Okay. But let's go back to when did because we you were either going to do this podcast or this, I guess call it a podcast, or the music one. So, but it's great because we both, I love music, and obviously you love music. So we're going to get into a little bit of your background and when
Yeah,
I
sure.
want to know when you. I'm always interested in. Uh, you're probably younger than me, uh, but when you first discovered music, were your did you listen to what your parents listened to, or tell me a little bit about that?
So I mean, that'll probably go back at least mostly to when I was in elementary school age. There was stuff that I heard sometimes at home, and there was stuff that I heard from friends that I was hanging out with, and both of those things kind of just cumulatively helped me kind of shape what I really liked listening to. And initially, I was listening to a lot of classic rock. I remember some of the big guys that I was listening to were, Zeppelin and Ozzy
Hmm.
Era Sabbath. I was listening to Hendrix, and eventually I started listening to other, more metal-oriented stuff, Metallica, especially their first four albums. And I actually got into a lot of funk and stuff like that as well. So right around the time that I was in high school was when I started to hear more of the prog rock and prog metal type stuff and a lot of jazz and jazz fusion.
Hmm.
And that stuff really, really shaped uh, one, my musical tastes, but two, how I approach music a lot as well. And I remember specifically one of the first experiences for me was when I heard the guitar player Al Di Meola play. There's a specific song called "Race with the Devil on Spanish Highway." It's off an album called Elegant Gypsy, and it was on a mixtape that was given to me.
Oh, okay,
And
because I've never heard of that
yeah,
person.
check if you want to check out an absolutely fantastic guitar player, check out Al Di Meola.
Okay.
He absolutely blew me away.
Hmm.
And between him and he had these other guys playing with him as well. There was this bass player named Anthony Jackson who was on that same album. And so that stuff kind of took what I thought about music and kind of completely shifted it on its head.
Okay.
Because up until that point, I was like, okay, these guys got to be at the top of their game. And then I heard guys who were doing stuff that was probably 10 times more difficult.
Yeah.
And so that led to me discovering a lot of other guys, like, for example, John McLaughlin and the Mahavishnu Orchestra, Weather Report, Jaco Pastorius. I started listening
Hmm.
to Frank Zappa a lot as well.
Okay.
There's this classic rock, well, more of a prog rock band called Gentle Giant that I started
Yes.
listening to as well. You
Yes,
heard
I
of those
know them.
guys? They're like one of my favorite bands, all right, which
There,
probably says a
there's
lot.
there's a guy. His name's Derek Higgins, and you want to check him out on YouTube. He's been doing videos for like 10 years. He
Yeah,
sits in his room. He's never changed a background or anything. You see his records. I don't know how many records he has, but he's more into the progressive rock.
yeah,
And I've discovered I'll stop the video sometimes if he mentions he holds up an album and go on Apple Music just to check it out and then go back to
yeah.
the video. But Gentle Giant, yeah, that's one band that I've listened to in the last year or two. I mean,
Yeah, I love those guys. They to this day they are one of my favorite bands.
hmm
And I started listening to like Dream Theater, Liquid Tension Experiment, and stuff like that as
I've
well.
heard of Dream Theater. Yeah.
They're a fantastic band. I mean, and now they've been around for decades. It's one of these, and there's a part of my brain that still thinks, oh yeah, they've only been around a few years because of how long I've been listening to their stuff.
Yeah.
The Liquid Tension Experiment is a side project with members of the band, just with Tony Levin on bass instead of their guy John Mayong. Tony
hmm
Levin being the guy from King Crimson, who's a magnificent bass player.
Yeah.
So that stuff really shaped a lot of what I started doing. And after high school, once I was able to, I started taking private lessons and I started to learn a lot on the music theory end of things, especially with it being geared towards jazz and blues and how chords should be shaped and voiced and
Okay.
how that can really enhance your compositional abilities, your soloing skills, and so on. Not just as far as physical technique goes, which is part of it, but also the head knowledge of what to play, where to go,
Oh
and
yeah.
not just to be moving your hand really fast, you
Yeah.
know, because you can kind of fake it. There are definitely
hmm
guys who can fake that kind of stuff and kind of just move their fingers really fast, so to say.
Oh yeah.
But if you have a working knowledge of where you're actually going to go, sometimes something pre-planned, a lot of times just instinctive because you can improvise it because you've been thinking about and studying this stuff long enough, it's going to completely open up a new world of what soloing can sound like, what
hmm
compositions can sound like, and so on. And so I learned quite a bit from I'd say three different music teachers on that end. And after a while, I eventually ended up going to school. I went to Eastern University and I majored in music there. And I initially majored with a concentration in music composition. And that helped me kind of fill in all the blanks because there were a lot of things I still didn't know, especially when it came to a lot of classic orchestral type arrangement type stuff. There were
hmm
still things in music theory that I had bypassed. And I knew I had bypassed, but I didn't know what it was I bypassed. And I knew I needed to kind of backpedal and kind of learn or relearn certain stuff so that I wasn't limited, you know?
hmm
And it also helped with my reading and writing music as well. That was something I did not know how to read notation until I went to school for it either. And so I also got my teaching credentials not long after that.
Okay.
And so for a while, I was just kind of going through the motions and I had a variety of different jobs before I got a teaching gig finally that lasted a while. And I still have that as my day job right now. And it was actually a year ago for Hunt Chase Kill when I
hmm
started composing for film, which almost
Okay.
happened by accident. I got that because I knew Amanda, who's, the lead in the film,
hmm
and I contacted her after I saw that she posted about the film to see if they might need a composer for it. And it just so happened that they did. And so she put me in touch with Paul. We hit it off pretty much
Oh
immediately.
yeah.
And
I
he
think
liked the music that
Paul
I
is
did. So,
such a good
oh,
person.
yeah. Paul's an awesome dude. Yeah, he's a
Him and
stand
I,
up guy.
yeah, we hit it off too. I mean, he's even been on the music podcast. He came over, he did a couple of them the one day, but
Yeah.
yeah.
If
And
you hear me
so is
sniffle a lot,
that,
I apologize. I
oh, I'm
got a
sorry.
cold.
No, no, you're fine. No, we're, I don't edit this. This is just like I said. It doesn't have to be real casual, but we're casual,
Yeah, yeah.
It's not
But yeah,
the
that was where
Tonight
it
Show.
started. That was that was where it began as far as the film composing. I had it in mind.
hmm
I wanted to do it, but
Okay.
circumstances just kind of kept it from happening. One of which was lack of ability to get equipment and software for a while. And
Okay.
fortunately, that wasn't the problem when I reached out about Hunt Chase Kill. And
Okay.
so I've been doing it ever since because I met a lot of you guys in person when I
hmm
went on set. And that kind of snowballed into me
Yeah.
seeing other projects and asking about them. And eventually that led to me
It's
getting
amazing
more stuff.
what one thing leads to another, especially in the
Yeah.
independent film, not
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
horror, but independent film. Because a lot of, a lot of the actors sometimes, I say we now because I've been in some movies, but
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, I'm I'm not looking, I'm not looking to get paid. I've donated to movies. Uh, I'm not looking to be, Kevin Bacon or anything, um, but we just do it. I mean, hopefully it gets to something where you might get a little, get a little bit of salary, but still, I have a regular job, you have a regular job, but what you do is time consuming. So you
Oh
have
yeah.
to set aside besides your regular job, and I think you told me you have a son or daughter,
Yeah, I got two kids. I got two
yeah,
daughters. I'm also, I have a wife as well.
yeah,
So,
and you got to
um,
spend time. Yeah, you got to allocate time for them too. Uh,
yeah,
so Hunt Chase Kill was maybe I repeat myself, but that was your very first film that
yep,
you did music for.
yeah. It was at least the first one I got attached to, that I got brought
Okay.
on for because Paul still had to edit stuff, and it took him a while to
Oh
get
yeah.
everything right and everything in order before he sent it to me. And between the time that I was brought on board and the time that I got the scenes, there were some short films that I worked on because that's a lot
Hmm.
quicker with the as far as the turnover goes.
Yeah.
So I was able to work on a few short films in between, and then as soon as he had everything ready and sent it to me, that was when I technically put the music in. Now that said,
Okay.
I did come up with a lot of the music before I got most of those scenes,
Okay.
and
Bits
fortunately,
and pieces, right? And just
yeah,
yeah.
and fortunately, most of it ended up fitting the material.
Hmm.
Because if it didn't, I would have had to just scrap it and start with something else.
Yeah.
But most of it actually worked exactly the way it needed to, and I just needed
Hmm.
to rearrange it to fit the timing of the scenes.
Yeah. Now with the short films, is that something where because I you've done a couple short films and I watched two of them that you recommended, and it's weird because like I said, the one let me see, I got my notes here to get the exact title right. Texas Chainsaw Massacre Badlands.
Yeah, yeah,
I remember like watching that first scene. Like like I said, I must have gotten distracted and then
it
and
happens. It definitely,
where
especially on something like Facebook, it
the
happens.
guy's in the I guess he's a police officer in the bar. Um,
Yeah,
and that movie I really liked. It's on YouTube. People can check it out. And but I guess my question is for that one or for the short films, is that something where they can send you the completed film for you to work on the music, or is that still because this is 20 minutes
yeah.
this film?
Most most of the time, I get the completed film
Hmm.
if it's a short film. In
Yeah.
most
Okay.
cases, that's exactly what's happened. Now, there have been other times where they might have a piece of it done and they'll send it to me just so I can start generating some ideas,
Hmm.
especially if they might not get to filming the rest of it for another couple of weeks or something like that. But in most cases, yeah, they'll send me the finished product, or at the very least, finished product as far as the runtime and the timing of the scenes will go. They'll most likely still be working on the audio and the color grading and stuff like that, but that won't really affect um, how I need to compose the music for it. The only way it would affect it is if there's no audio at all and I can't hear what they're saying because what they're saying might play into exactly how I shape the music. But
Yeah.
that's never been an issue. I've always been able to hear it and in some cases realize, okay, they're probably going to be doing some volume adjustments here because I can hear maybe some clipping in someone's voice here or
Or
other
maybe
little
no
stuff like that.
music because I
Yeah,
the other one that I watched. I'm bad with remembering names
that's
here.
all right. Is that the one I sent you yesterday or the other day?
Yeah.
Oh,
Um,
GOETIA.
yeah, that one. Uh, yeah, that I noticed, maybe noticed more because there was, I think, some action in that one, but, there are scenes where there's no music. So
Yeah,
you kind of have to know, I mean, we watch movies where the music, like, not even a movie, but one example is America's Got Talent. Okay, it's not a horror movie, but
sometimes
the
it is.
the music, the audience, like I don't know, it can't be just our TV. The It's so loud over top of when they're talking sometimes. It's just overwhelming,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
you know.
Well,
And
that
and so in a
especially.
horror movie, yeah, it's the build up, you still have to build it's the scene building up and also the music. So and what you did with Hunt Chase Kill was great. I loved it. And Texas Chainsaw, actually all three of these that I watched. And so you're on to something. I want to know, when did you get it in your mind that you wanted to do horror movies? Were you watching, like, you've probably watched tons of horror movies like I have,
Yeah.
and did you hear the music and you're like, I can do that? Or maybe you already composed some stuff hoping to do that.
So I hadn't composed anything before actually getting attached to a particular project, whether it be Hunt, Chase, Kill, or anything else. Um, I didn't have like a set of compositions in my mind of like, hey, if I start composing for film, this would be something I'd have kind of a repertoire that I could pull from. I didn't do that,
Hmm.
largely because I didn't at the time anticipate getting into it. At the
Okay.
time, I thought that maybe that ship had sailed already, and
Oh,
I'm
okay.
glad I was
Yeah.
wrong. But I never actually did that. Now, there are times where I'll create a proof of concept for something, and that might be before I get any footage of the film at all.
Hmm.
Sometimes I'll get maybe a scene from the screenplay to look at. Other times I won't have that. I'll just have the general storyline, and they'll just ask me to come up with something, even if it's just a general theme, without having a scene given to me. And maybe the director or the writer will give me some pointers as far as what kind of tone they're looking for,
Okay.
and that kind of thing.
Hmm.
And with the proofs of concept, sometimes it'll be just 2 or 3 minutes long. Sometimes I'll get a little carried away, and it'll be 6 or 7 minutes long because the idea will come to me for something, and they're like, wait, I've got something else that I want to attach to that. Let me just run with it before I forget the idea.
Yeah.
And so I'll do that, and a good amount of the time that stuff will fit the film, and I'll use exactly what that is, whether it's as is or me typically having to adjust it a little for the timing of a scene and all that stuff.
Hmm.
Um, and then other times I'll only use a part of it because, yeah, this part fit for what I was given, especially if it's a short film where you're going to be limited with how much music you're going to use
Oh,
for it.
yeah.
And it'll
Yeah.
be like, all right, maybe I got something that's 10 minutes long, and 4 or 5 minutes of it worked perfectly for a couple of scenes. And that other stuff that was there, if it was a feature length film, all right, there'd probably be a place for it. But right now there's not. And if I put it in, I'm forcing it. It's not really fitting a scene right. I'm doing the movie a disservice. So let me leave it the hell
Yeah.
alone.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, there's other cases where everything that I compose actually fits really well. So it's really a kind of a case by case thing, and it's more of a however that works. It's got to fit the film, and it's got to make the movie better. If it doesn't make the movie better, then it shouldn't be there. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. Or if it's a distraction from the scene, like,
absolutely.
it's like
That's like
someone hears something and what was that, and because it all, yeah, everything has to go
a
together.
good example is actually that episode of that Goetia miniseries. Because there are
Hmm.
going to be more episodes coming out beginning of next year. That one, as far as what goes on in it, there's a good section of it where there's dialogue and it's atmosphere and build up, and sometimes the music serves that. Other times the music either needs to not exist at all, or it needs to
Yeah.
really back off and just kind of come in a
Hmm.
little bit here and there. There are a
Yeah.
lot of scenes where it's very quiet, and there might be a couple of little piano parts that are only like a second or two long that I'll put in there to kind of accentuate something. But then I'll back off and leave it be, and it's like that
Hmm.
less is more thing. Like
Yeah.
that served its purpose, and if I had put anything more in there, it would have completely killed the scene.
Yeah.
It would have like ruined the mood and the atmosphere, and it would have been overstimulating. You know.
Yeah. I noticed there was some scenes where there was no music.
Mm-hmm.
And I normally don't watch a movie and listen to only the music, but because I'm interviewing you, it was cool that I'm listening to the music and the incidental, sounds. Like I said, especially the Texas Chainsaw.
I'm glad you like that one. That was a fun one to
Yeah.
score too.
Well, I don't know who did that movie. I mean, I know you do. Um, but I hope they do more. The
Well,
one
they're
scene that got me, because it is an independent, probably low budget. I don't like
yeah.
to say low budget, but um, but the scene where I don't want to give everything away, but we know Leatherface, he wears people's faces.
Yeah, were we
But
talking about the peeling scene?
yeah, and I like that it was done from behind because,
Yeah.
you can, and I don't want to say save money, but you can't, like, but the way it was, you believed. and I don't know what that, and that had to be a sound effect. I was going to ask, that's what I want to get into. Do you only do the music, or do you add little incidental, like, or is that more the, I guess, the movie director? Um, like, who would add, like, say someone's walking through leaves and they need,
like a crunching sound or
yeah,
something like that. More if it's just incidental sound effects like that, the sound of someone's footsteps or a door
yeah,
closing, that typically won't be me. Maybe down the road it'll be something I'll figure out how to do really well, but it's
hmm,
not something I do right now, and that's usually just a separate sound guy.
okay,
And that doesn't mean that I don't incorporate sounds, incidental sounds into the music. I do that sometimes. I most certainly do. I just don't do it with every sound effect that you're going to hear. It'll
hmm,
sometimes be more of like a cluster of sound or something that that sounds like it doesn't actually, that it's not a part of the music even though it
okay,
is. You know,
okay,
like I'll
yeah,
include like certain echoey slams and atmospheric things like
or
that in there.
chimes or something like
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
yeah.
okay,
And I definitely, the part of the movie that you're talking about, that's actually my favorite scene in the movie.
hmm,
And
yeah,
before I forget, Sixth Chamber Pictures. That's the company
okay,
that made that. They're out in Arizona, and I'm actually going to be scoring another film of theirs in a little
okay,
while. I'm hoping at some point they circle back around and either do a sequel to the Texas Chainsaw One or
hmm,
maybe do like a full length version of it. I'd love
yeah,
to do that.
yeah,
But that particular scene, in my opinion, is the most effective scene in the entire film. I love that scene.
yeah,
I think it's the scariest scene, and it's very unsettling. Like the camera angle, the way that you described it, because it's happening from behind the POV of a certain character,
hmm,
it's done in a particular way that they didn't really have to worry about the effects that otherwise would have been involved. But there was a less is more component. What they showed was very unsettling and
oh
very
yeah,
effective.
yeah,
You know,
and you
and
could
I
hear the
did,
carving, so I don't know.
yeah. That wasn't me. Yeah, that was all them.
Okay,
Like if you're talking about like the sound of like the knife moving and
maybe they're
whatnot, that
probably
was all
cutting
them.
through meat or something.
Yeah, they probably added that in post. It's entirely possible that they had something going on while they were filming it as well,
Yeah.
but they probably added it in
It's
post. I know
funny though
exactly
when
what you're
I
talking about, though.
and it's funny because when I see someone trying to start a chainsaw or a gas powered you know, tool that won't start right away, I think of myself because I've I just had to buy a new grass trimmer, weed whacker, because my other one, they seem to only last 2 or 3 years, and no one to fix them. So that reminded me of I'm down there, trying to start this thing. I go out the next day, I change the gas, but anyway.
Yeah, but if you listen to that scene, there's a moment, the moment where the main part of that scene happens, without me giving it away.
Yeah.
There is like a very low set of brass instruments that kicks in like this. It's like very intentional. It's the
Okay.
exact moment that that happens,
Yeah.
and then it backs off a little bit, and like that's when Leatherface turns around and he's walking towards the exit of the barn, and the moment he takes a particular step, that sound kicks back in.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's very very deliberate, but the
Hmm.
sounds of the actual action that's happening, yeah, that was them. That was their sound
Okay.
guy.
Okay. Now you use programs, right? But do you also incorporate like a keyboard? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
What I do, let me see if I've got it right here to show you. Sometimes I'll just use a touch screen because it's a
Okay.
little easier.
Hmm.
But I have the capability of recording my voice, and I can record guitars. And the other thing that I've got a little MIDI keyboard. It's not very large.
Yeah.
This guy right here. It's
I have a M audio keyboard too.
that guy.
I don't
That
know how
guy
many
is,
keys it is. I've
yeah.
It's
This
probably
is
the
like,
same maker.
yeah. This is probably less than 50 keys. It's not a lot, but I can change the range, so it's
Okay.
something I can still
Yeah.
work with.
Yeah, you can change the pitch, and I've been messing around with the programs came with the keyboard.
Uh huh.
One's called maybe it's M Beats, something like that.
Yeah.
And I just figured out how to do different tracks without it having it changed or keep this when I want to change a sound. I
Uh huh.
finally figured it out on my own how to do different tracks and put something together. But I'm doing it for, I say fun, but most people, I think they think people who program music are not like, and they're not playing actual instruments, are it's a lot of work. It is,
Yeah,
it is not like you're pressing a couple buttons and you know the and I want your thoughts on AI because I think
sure.
it's gonna destroy a lot of things, a lot of
Yeah,
artistic creativity. Um,
I'm
it's
uh
not good.
I'm very largely in line with that same thought, because programming something is not the same thing as what people are often referring to when we're talking about AI, especially in music,
Hmm.
where, all right, if you're programming something, but you're still recording your parts and layering them in tracks and you're just assigning different instruments to them or something like, you're still doing the work.
You're creating, yeah,
Yeah. You might not
and you
be,
can tweak it
yeah. And
where
it takes a
AI
long time. It takes a long time to
once
get it
it's
right.
but AI once the song's created, you can't go in and like pick it apart. I mean, not yet, but because you know, I was kind of naive, but a long time ago with music, as when people started programming it, until I started doing it. I mean, even doing a
Realizing what goes
podcast
into it.
and going
Yeah.
in and editing, and it takes a lot of time, and and it's yeah, and it's a feeling too. It's when you start creating the music and you listen to it back, it may not be exactly what you wanted, but you can then go in you and take out stuff and because if you have an ear for music, which you do, you know, that's a big key where AI it thinks it's telling you what you should, what it should be.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
I don't know how to
I've heard a lot of I've heard a lot of music that is just AI specific, and by that I'm so that people know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the AI where you provide prompts
yeah.
and
Oh
then it
yeah.
creates something based on those prompts. So I'm not talking about people who actually program stuff themselves.
Oh
That
yeah.
takes a skill set, and I'm not talking about that.
Yeah.
But if we're exclusively talking about the type of AI related to music where you're just giving an engine
Hmm.
prompts and then
Yeah.
they're coming up with the music, that is what I equate to somebody doing an exercise with really shitty form. Because
Hmm.
that's the other background I have. I'm actually a professional and in the area of personal training and that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. So
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I've studied anatomy on the musculoskeletal end big time. And so I say that to connect the dots here, where somebody says, "Oh yeah, I do 100 sit-ups a day." More times than not, I'm like Billy Madison. I look at them, I'm like, "No, you
Hmm.
didn't."
Yeah.
I might not be as direct of an asshole like that, but at the very least, I'll either say that nicely or I'll be thinking it. No,
Hmm.
you didn't. If you were lucky, you did 10, and then other muscles that weren't supposed to work started taking over it because you added all momentum in there because you were concerned about doing your 100 instead of doing the thing the right way and getting how many you can get with you doing it the right way. I
Yeah.
equate it to kind of that because what I mean by that is, well, no, you didn't actually take the effort or time. You didn't put the appropriate amount of actual creative energy into making this yourself.
Hmm.
You gave a couple of instructions to something that then spat something out and more than likely plagiarized the stuff they spat out because all
Yeah.
it did was take stuff from other artists and kind of mesh it in a certain way and like put it in a blender or something along those lines and come out with something that literally was you just giving it instructions. So
Yeah.
if we're just talking about that,
Yeah.
one, I'm not a fan of it, but two, I think it's not going to. This is my opinion, and I hope that I end up not being wrong about this, but I don't think it's going to have a huge long term effect. I think short term, like
Hmm.
maybe the next few years or something like that, it'll probably be something that does take work away from some composers. And it probably is already doing that now for that matter. I mean, we've already
Yeah.
got people who will pull stock music instead of paying a composer
Hmm.
or try to gaslight a composer into, you know, doing an entire feature's worth of a film, and paid them in dog
Yeah.
farts.
Yeah.
But a lot of times that's a problem in and of itself,
Yeah.
where they're pulling stock music, and I can understand the reason why. Sometimes you just don't have the budget, you know. But with all that said, that's enough of an issue that's sometimes an obstacle. Not necessarily saying that the filmmaker is wrong. Sometimes that's all they can do because they don't have the budget to pay somebody.
Hmm.
But as far as from the perspective of the composer, they're already losing work to that sometimes. And now they've got to lose work to what basically is fake talent.
Yeah.
And by fake talent, I mean the actual AI software that's just spitting stuff out.
Well, there's no, when you create when you create music, um, whether you're an author or even sitting down and reading a book, it's good for your mental capacity, for your brain. This stuff is just where you go, like you said, you do the prompts. A minute later, you have a song. What has your brain accomplished but sitting in front of a monitor and
Yeah.
and
And
it's
you
you
can
get
hear it.
brain rot. Like people that are
Yeah.
on, I have a problem with social media and I'm trying to stay off more so. But I do have a problem sometimes with switching from Facebook to Instagram, and I'm just like an hour goes by, and you're like, what did I,
Yeah.
what
I sometimes have that problem too, because now I kind of have to be on social
oh
media because
yeah,
it's where I'm getting a lot of my work.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
have to find that right balance. Oh, before I forget, because I was making a point, and I know I kind of like pulled a left turn and stopped
okay,
making the point.
yeah,
Um, but you know how in AI pictures and stuff, where something is made from AI and it
yeah,
looks impressive, but then you look closer and you realize someone's got 6 fingers or
oh
two
yeah,
right
the
hands or
hands
something
are a
like that.
problem, yeah, yep,
Or there's some kind of issue like that. Take that exact same problem and apply it over to music. It's
yeah,
going to happen if it hasn't been happening already, which
hmm,
it has. But it's going to be a problem that remains prevalent. And yeah, the software and the technology are going to increase, but that human element is not going to be there.
yeah,
And I get the feeling, and I hopefully I'm not wrong about this. I might be. Hopefully I'm not. But I get the feeling that that is only going to have so much of a lifespan before
yeah,
people realize, yeah, we need to actually have a person with a brain in here
yeah.
and a soul who's actually going to put a human spin on this.
I have to
Hopefully
admit,
that's the
I've
case.
I've used AI music in the music podcast for
Mm-hmm.
the transition before we go into, but I'm gonna start trying to program my own because I hate that I have to do that. I have
Yeah, I got you.
um, I did try something like probably a year ago. I was so amazed. I don't know what it was, a free program. Well, you could use it for free. It was limited, where you put in your lyrics and you pick a male or female voice,
Yeah,
and it was for a themed podcast that we did. So I had them sing our name and the name of the podcast, and I had all kinds of, might have been our Christmas show or something. And I was just, even though it was AI, I was blown away by the finished product
uh,
with a female voice singing, and it sounded, and that's where it gets kind of scary because uh, there's a band maybe you heard that has, I
yeah,
think they have 3 albums, maybe they're on their fourth
yeah, and they're
in
not
the
even
last
real.
2 months. It's like Velvet Sundown or something.
Yeah,
I don't want, and they're probably at 1 million streams now. They were at 750,000. That shouldn't be allowed. That really,
yeah. Oh,
I don't
I
know.
agree, and I'm also. This might not be the case with all music, um, music sharing software and programs and so on. I believe Spotify is one of the ones that does this. I've heard it come up more times than not. I don't have my music on Spotify,
Yeah,
um, but with that said, I've heard from many individuals that I know who are professional musicians that a lot of the music streaming channel stations, programs, whatever you want to call it, really go out of their way to rip off the artist. Like
yeah,
they're barely
oh
making
yeah,
anything as it is, and
yeah.
now they've got to compete with something that's not even real. You know?
Well, there's a new campaign to ban Spotify. I
Yeah.
didn't even know about it until last week. because it's fairly new. The artists are bailing, um, and Neil Young, I think, pulled all his music, but now I think it might get momentum. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. If it's going to cause any effect. You never know. You get enough people, enough artists. But I posted a link to an interview with Liberty DeVito. Um, I I think I posted it public. I probably posted it publicly. And no, I posted it. Someone posted. Someone had. I'm in a vinyl group, and they were listening to or they mentioned Billy Joel or something. So I just kind of said, "Oh, I just interviewed Liberty DeVita," and I got a comment, you know, ban Spotify, or you shouldn't be on Spotify. And I'm like, okay, because that was, like a year or two ago when they were.
Yeah.
So and then now I see more artists but we need the bigger artists to bail.
Yeah. Yeah. A big thing
One
is
is King Lizard and do you know
King
King?
Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. Those guys
Yeah,
are great.
they're bailing from Spotify.
Good. Well, they're
So
going to lose about 50 albums worth of
yeah,
stuff then, if that's the
yeah,
case, because they are a hard-working
yeah.
band.
So we only have about 3 more minutes on here. So, but I thank you for joining me, Bobby.
No
And
problem.
I might cross this over with the music one.
All right,
Maybe I'll just
cool,
put
cool.
it out as audio for that one. This will be video.
Something
Um,
I did want to quickly mention,
oh,
because it's
okay.
related to something you asked. I'll say it quick. There's a film that I'm working on now. Dasher Slasher is the name
Okay.
of it. It's a short film, and I actually just found out that they're going to be turning it into a feature film, and it looks like even Felissa Rose will be part of it
Oh,
as
okay.
well. The short will come out first, but then they are going to be working on the feature. I'm doing the music for that. But to kind of tag off of something you said, like as far as adding audio in,
Hmm.
there's a component of the film that involves hearing voices. And so one of the things we're doing is we're actually, in addition to the regular score I'm composing, a bunch of us are actually recording different vocal prompts that are
Hmm.
supposed to be going on in this particular individual's head at the same time. And so to
Okay.
to kind of tag off what you were saying as
Yeah.
far as how I'd work with audio, I'm actually going to be compressing all of it down into like a couple of different files, and that'll actually appear in parts of the score. I had it in mind to mention
Okay.
it earlier, and it was like
No,
bugging
that's
me. I just
great.
wanted to give
Yeah.
you a heads up.
So I'll put the links to the movies we talked about, well, not the two movies, and then um, yeah, and then I'll they can people can find you on Facebook, right?
Yeah,
Instagram.
you can find me on Facebook. I am on Instagram, and then I got my YouTube channel, which is just Bobby Music Composer, and each
Okay.
word is the first letter is capitalized, but that's it.
Well, I'll put a
That's
link to this. I'll put a link to that too
awesome, awesome.
on
Thanks,
this
man.
because this is just on YouTube and also my page, The Horror of It All.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
but thank you, Bobby. And I know I think I'll see you on the 17th.
yeah, yeah. I'll be there for that
Yeah.
one, man.
Yeah. I don't know when I'm going to be there towards the morning or afternoon. I'm just doing one scene,
Oh,
secondary character.
gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah. So, and that's for the Witch of Bushkill Park.
Yeah, the Legend of the Bushkill Witch. That'll be a
Yes.
fun one.
Well, thank you, and have a great rest of the day, Bobby.
You as well, man. Thanks for having me
Okay.
on.